Now we're ready to take our perspective lesson to the next step, which is preparing for our final perspective drawing. I also want to remind you that just like the video said, all of your work, your late work, is due tomorrow. So be sure and get that turned in. We are going to be using our sheet of drawing paper, so you can start with the copy paper or the drawing paper, and you'll need your ruler and your pencil. The first thing I'm going to do is find halfway using my ruler. So I'm going to find the horizon line, and on this ruler I have a 0, so I want to make sure that the 0 is at the edge of the paper and that my ruler is straight with the parallel to the edge of the paper. And the paper is 8.5 across, so that tells me that 4 1/4 is halfway. So I could fold the paper, but if I fold the paper, then I have an ugly line that's going to cause me problems later. So it's better to use our ruler. So I'm lining up at the opposite end, 0 to 4 1/4. So the halfway mark is bigger, and the next bigger mark is the quarter mark, and I'm making a small mark there. My next step is I'm going to lay my ruler across the page, lining up my 2 pencil marks and drawing across the paper. And there's the center of my paper. Now, I'm not going to measure the other direction or halfway, but I do want my vanishing point towards the center of the paper. So I'm marking that on the line. That's our vanishing point. For the video, I'm going to be making my lines pretty dark so that you can see them, but you do not have to make them this dark. We are going to start today by starting out making a square or rectangles in each corner, each of the 4 corners of our page. So I'm going to turn my paper and lining up my ruler. So again, the 0 is at the edge. I'm going to make a mark at 2. And I'm going to come down to the other end of the paper and make a mark at 2. Then I'm going to turn my paper towards me and line up the ruler with my marks, similar to how I did for the center of the page for my horizon line. And I don't want to draw all the way across because my marks are only going to be 2 inches. So I'm going to draw a line in from the right edge and in from the left edge. And right now I'm not paying attention to how long they are. And then I'm going to come down to the other edge and do the same. So I'm going to repeat, lining up my ruler at the 0. So the 0 is at the edge, marking at 2. Turning my paper around. Marking at 2. And going the other direction as well, marking at 2 and marking at 2. I made a few extra marks there. So just like I did the long side here, I'm going to line up my ruler with on my long edge and mark in from each edge. Now that I have my lines, I'm going to come back and make sure that I'm going from 0 to 2 the other way. Zero to 2 the other way. And now this time I'm going to start from where my lines cross and go to the outside. So I'm starting where my lines cross and go to the outside. So I've made a square or a rectangle in each corner. And I'm going to take out the extra lines. Okay, so I'm turning my paper. This one I've already marked to, but let's check. 0 to 2, yes. 0 to 2. I'm going to line up my ruler with the 2 marks. And where my lines cross, go to the outside edge. And anywhere where my pencil lines are too long, I'm going to erase the extra because I just want the rectangles in the corners. Okay, all right, so now this is representing our flat side. So we're going to draw 2 together, and then you're going to finish 2 by yourself. So following our perspective rules, we have our vanishing point and our flat side. So I'm lining up my ruler with the vanishing point. And because this is our final drawing, we don't want lots of erase marks. I'm going to make it a little ways in. And then I'm going to go to the corner, to the vanishing point. Remember, our pencils are a little bit thick, so I want to be sure and leave room for the pencil tip. And again, I'm not drawing all the way to the vanishing point. And for my last corner, I'm going from the edge of the paper and the edge of my line. So that's going to become my corner to the vanishing point. Okay, and then let's go ahead and end that. And how do I know that it's correct? The front comes over and down, so the back should go over and down. Over and down, over and down. And I can take out extra lines. All right. Now, we're going to do the same thing with our next block. And since I'm lining up the blocks, I want to kind of keep track of where the edge of the block, so I'm going to make a nice light line where this block ends because I want the blocks to be a similar size. So I'm going to start on this block. I'm going to do the corner line first. From my corner on the vanishing point back to that line. And the vanishing point to the corner. And the last corner, again, the edge of my page and the corner line from the block. And draw back. Now, if my lines don't meet, then that tells me I need to come back here, line up my ruler, and make my line a little longer, extend that. And I have a corner here, so I'm going to line my ruler up here and slide it up so they're parallel and take out the extra. Okay, all right. So here are our 2 blocks. Now, we're going to add one more block further in. So how do we do that? We're going to have our blocks are going to share these lines. Okay, so now about halfway we started with the over and down, so we're going to start with the over first and the down second. This is the front of my block. And I'm going to draw down until it meets the block. And at my corner, I have to draw over. Okay, so now I'll slide my ruler back, and the corner is going to go over and down. How do I know if it's right? If I go over and down, they should be going the same direction. And I'll make this a little darker so my block shows up a little more clearly in the video. Take out my extra lines. And there I have my 2 blocks. Okay, all right, so we are doing the left side together. So we're going to continue our vanishing point lines. So our 2 blocks are going to share the vanishing point lines. And that one does not share it. So don't get in a hurry. And remember, I want to check to make sure that I'm on my line that I'm sharing with block number 1 and I'm on my vanishing point. Now I'm going to use some lines here from this second block that I drew because I want my blocks, these blocks line up, I want these blocks to line up. So there's my corner and here's my end. Okay, so on this block I'm going up and now I'm going to go over. So I'm going up and I'll turn my ruler this way. I'm going up and now I'm going to go over. So I'm lining up my ruler here. I'm sliding back to the corner. So I'm going up and over and up and over here as well. All right, now I've got the top and the side, so now I have to finish the bottom of the block. Here's my over, and here's the corner. So that's going to come straight down, and that will stop when it touches the other block. And I'll take out my extra lines. So there's my block number 2. Okay, now what I want you to do for next time is I want you to finish these 2 blocks by yourself. You're going to finish block number 1 and then you're going to add block number 2. So remember, our first step is to, now that we have our flat side, is to connect our lines to the vanishing point. And I'm checking to make sure that my ruler stays on the vanishing point. And then I'm going to Now that I have 2 blocks, I can use these as a guide to draw my other ones. So that's how far you need to be by next time. Happy drawing!